Mine?
Yeah. Yeah.
There. Yeah.
That's what it was telling me. Welcome to Living Low Sodium with Mary Schepp. Join Mary as she tickles your taste buds with her salty wit and her exceptional palate, all whilst guiding us through the land of low sodium. Today, well, another year is in the books, or maybe the cookbooks. I don't know.
It reminds me that how far I have to go on my cookbook.
Well, you're welcome.
I've already formatted it wrong twice, so I'm being a spoiled little brat, not doing as much as I should do. But yeah, another year in the books. And when I was thinking about this, 2 years down of the show, because we started in September of 2019.
Yeah.
When we did the year-end show in 2020, I'm pretty certain that it just through circumstance and how it was and what was going on at the time that you and I did the end of 2020 together.
Yeah.
Because Pete was busy, and now unfortunately due to circumstances
this
year, he's busy somewhere in the ethereal world doing whatever he's doing wherever he's doing it. So it's
that's right.
But 2021, my God, everybody said 2020 was the year that was horrible and this, that, and COVID. Well, 2021, we still got COVID. We still got a whole lot of hate in the world.
Ugh.
And so many changes between what you experience in your life every day. Distribution issues, food shortage issues, supply issues, farmers doing better because the local farmers are, that's why I created Fresh from the Farm in Henry County. People are finding the farms and getting fresh eggs and fresh beef. I got a full freezer of beef and pork and venison and bison and chicken, turkey, quail.
And that kind of change is pretty cool.
I like that. Exactly. Like when I get my farmers sending me messages that they're sold out, that's just amazing to me. Or that, their prices are competitive with grocery stores because, you know what I mean? Like the difficulty. So my husband and I talked about it because we went to the grocery store, and instead of having a mound of tomatoes or oranges or whatever the size of me, there's like 16.
Yeah.
Like, holy crap.
Yeah, Pam says 2021's been a bitch.
Well,
the last quarter of 2021's been a serious one.
It
right?
really, the last 2 years was a blink.
Yeah, it really
was. Just really, I bought a house and
check.
All of these different things between store closures and jobs and all of these changes that have happened. Where you shop, how you live your life, how you do birthday parties, Christmas parties, events, get-togethers. Like, there's so many changes in life. Myself, the last quarter, like Kent just said, was, between losing Pete, the changes that my show has made and evolved into, the plans that we have to evolve it into even more coming in 2022. Hopefully they have that home show that you and I could go to that we wanted to go to in 2020. Yes. The changes the station has made, the amount of shows and the content that the station now has, and the stuff that we're going to have in 2022. And then myself surviving COVID, the fact that my husband didn't even get COVID, the fact that I lost Pete to COVID. And then on top of all of that, it's this past week has been very bittersweet for me because on the heels of all of that, this is my last show for 2021. So we're going to take a couple weeks off and we'll regroup. We'll be back on January 8th. January 7th is my last day at Office Depot.
Wow.
So a lot of people that watch the show, because Office Depot corporate doesn't technically sponsor my show, it doesn't mean I can't talk about it, but it's not broadcast readily. But those that are close to me know that I love my store. I love my shop. I love my peers. I love my team. And how I've gotten my community involved in my store involved in my community. It's nothing about Office Depot. As far as corporations go, it's one of the better ones to work for. It really is.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Sean. I haven't seen him on here for a while. Sean, I met Sean because he created the group, and we've subsequently been admins in it together since I was diagnosed with liver disease, Shaking the Salt. So a little bit here, we're going to talk about low sodium tips. You want a low sodium tip? Join Shaking the Salt, a group on Facebook, yeah. And you will find just about every answer you need to just about anything you're going to ask, with a community of people that are super supportive of being low sodium. So, and leaving Office Depot, and like I said, it's bittersweet because it's as far as companies go, you always got to complain about your job, and there's always things to complain about. Yeah, I think it's where the G shake it. You can add it. You can do the Shaking the Salt, and it might tag it.
Gotcha.
If it doesn't yell. Oh, actually it won't, because it'll yell at you for being my page. Yeah. Technical things behind the scenes. Anyways, so it's an amazing place to work, and it's not that I'm leaving there because of that. It's that I was offered an opportunity by a buddy of mine, Ben Voling, to get into insurance. And I know that there is an insurance agent, for every piece of dust that floats around this room right now. The same as real estate agents and mortgage brokers and, financial planners and all of these different fields, Mary Kay representatives. There's also a lot of general managers for retail establishments around the world. Yeah. I'm a passionate person, and I'm very proud of the fact that I am very often called unique. And I think that I'll bring that same uniqueness to my drive as an insurance agent as I did as a general manager. Plus
somebody who genuinely gives a shit.
Right, I do. I genuinely give a shit about my customers and clients and how I'm involved in the community. But I'm excited because some of the things that we're doing with this particular agency is unique, it's different, and it's groundbreaking. And what the next 12 to 18 months will yield out of this relationship, and what we're doing is going to be pretty cool and pretty interesting, and it's going to be fantastic. So I'm super excited to do that. So that'll be an ever-changing path. Gary, but it's a lot of change.
Gary, good morning. Your ears must have been burning. We were talking about you in the green room.
We were actually.
Hey, you changed your job.
Yeah, I changed my job, so it's going to be a new path. I'm super excited, and thanks, John. So it's change. It's so much change, and I had a lengthy conversation with my oldest sister. The amount of time that I have spent, meditating and reflecting in personal reflection, because change is stress.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, good, bad, or indifferent. If you win the lottery right now, that endorphin rush, that chemical rush, that is a stress on your body. It's a good stress, but it's a stress. So even though I am not scared of going into sales or scared of a career change when I'm perfectly stable in my life, between my health, the way it is, ever changing on a daily basis, and the loss of a close personal friend, and a significant, I'm not getting promoted or moved. This is a significant career change that means a whole upheaval of my entire lifestyle, from working at a retail establishment with people to working at home and accountable to myself. I mean, there's this last few weeks has been very, very reflective internally for me. So, but at the core of all, and I love change. So many people are terrified of change.
I love it. Yeah.
I even bad change typically yields good things down the road.
Yeah, growth. Right?
It does.
Yeah. You got to till the land.
Good, bad, or indifferent. The world has a balance to it. And sometimes you need to go through those bad things or those stressful times, or, such as yourself because I'm not the only one who's alone here with 8 million things going on.
Right.
You know, it's an entire upheaval in the last 2 weeks for both of us. So,
A little bit,
right?
but I mean, and farmers don't leave corn in the same field.
Right.
They only do it for so many years, and they've got to change the crop so that they get the most out of that land. Right. I mean, so the change is good.
And then, I mean, a tornado rips through a farmer's cornfield, and they can't just stop and say, "Oh, well, we'll wait till next season." They have to push and hustle and go. And you just need to keep moving forward. And it's funny because the last episode, someone had commented that, where's the low sodium tips?
Yep.
So I brought a couple back just this time, just to see about some low sodium tips.
There you go.
My website's one of them.
Yeah, there's one.
My LoSo Lifestyle. It is not the most up-to-date thing many times. And I'm always open to emails and suggestions, and I do my best. But a lot of times what people don't realize, when you find low sodium groups, low sodium or anything, heart healthy, a lot of these things are created by people who are living that life. And many times we have a life of our own, or we have health issues. So they're not always the most up to date.
Yeah.
But I do my best. And then the nice thing about it is it sends you to places like Shaking the Salt or Hacking the Salt, to find pretty much all the answers that you need. And most of the time, when you're instructed to go low sodium, the questions are always the same. What can I eat? How do I do this? Or the comments is everything has salt. And that's just it. It's always, if you watch the threads and you watch the groups, very much like people talking about coyotes in Cary, or is Rawson Bridge open?
Right.
The questions are constantly the same. So if you search those groups, so chances are you're going to find the answers. The simple answers to those questions: what can I eat? Real foods. How do I do this? Dedication and commitment. It's true to anything. If you don't commit to it, you're just going to set yourself up for failure. And everything has salt. Of course it does. You need salt to live.
Yeah.
You need salt. You need potassium, magnesium, iron, protein, sugars, fats, all of the things that you're supposed to watch and not overdo. You need those things to live.
Sean says, but I never add salt to any of my food. My favorite one of them all.
It's funny because I literally printed from a previous episode, and the title of that episode was "There's No Salt," for that exact reason, because of the fact that everybody always says, "Well, I don't add salt to it." Oh, I want to choke you because there's so much more to it than that. Like, thank you. The amount of times I've had to smile when someone's like, oh, here's a pie, or here's some soup I made you, and I was thinking of you because you aren't feeling good, or this happened.
Oh, hey, it's okay. It's pink Himalayan salt.
Oh, I know, that's the other one. I didn't add any salt, or I only used the pink salt. Yeah, it's good for you.
It's good for you.
No, thanks. I'll give it to my husband, and I can't even do that because my husband's really weird about people giving him food.
Right.
And a lot of people are like that. I hate to tell you, a lot of people are like that.
Oh yeah.
But it's so funny that you say that. I didn't add any salt, and that's the complicated answer. Is that it is so much more than low sodium, and that's what this show has evolved into. Is yes, it is low sodium tips, and we have a ton of episodes where dips in how to cook turkey and how to make soups and stocks, and we did a whole episode on different sauces, mother sauces and broth sauces, and that was another show I did with you.
That's right.
So many of the episodes are a lifestyle choice, and some of them are recipes and some of them are tips. So unfortunately, I wish I could fit all of that into one, but apparently now 2.5 years later, we're just going to keep going.
I mean, I love the show because it's education. I guess educational and entertaining. Yes. So edutaining. There you go.
Edutaining. And we also make up words on these shows.
But what it does now, after 2 years of following you, and I'm a member of Shaking the Salt, and you start to learn about what you're throwing in your body. from drinking a Gatorade to, whoa, what? This is Kool-Aid with a salt stick in it.
Right. That's and coloring.
And you would never do that. Or I would never do that. Not you. I would never do that before. So you start really kind of looking at things and appreciating. And now your palate is exceptional. So now it's, how do we add this to get that flavor, or add flavor and that flavor profile. So, and then there's just times where we laugh at just some of the silliness on the show, which is great too. So.
And talk about a whole lot of nothing and go off on our own digressions and tangents because, we can, because it's our show.
That's right.
So I'm going to do what I want. So there, nah.
She's a star.
This is the 5-year-old Mary coming out.
That's right.
But it is so much more complicated than that.
Yeah.
And the amount of times that people ask me, so what diet are you on or what do you do? I eat real food. That's it. I live my life. I find happiness. I find the silver lining. I find every opportunity to be optimistic and help others and educate others. And the best compliment that people give me is, holy crap, I didn't realize how much salt was in the soup I like. So I picked this one. All I did was get you to pay attention to the can.
That's it.
I didn't tell you couldn't have it. I didn't tell you, or I didn't shame you into, oh my God, why are you putting salt on that? Or why are you eating this? Why are you doing that? You're an adult. And if you're not an adult, you're raising kids. So you're still an adult, and teach them better ways. You have the choice to make any decision that you want and eat whatever you want. And if you want to eat garbage, then you're going to feel like garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. But the lifestyle is what has saved me. It didn't cure me. I still got transverse myelitis after changing my lifestyle and quitting drinking and quitting smoking and changing my diet. I don't know why. Both my liver disease and my transverse myelitis are idiopathic. So I'm just a walking anomaly. It also didn't stop me from getting COVID. I wholeheartedly believe it's why I had a mild case of COVID, because of the fact that I'm unique in the aspect that I know that the only thing I'm missing is vitamin D and iron on certain occasions, because I'm a girl and I bleed. So if it's that time, I have to take iron because I need it. I can't produce enough of it. And because I had lost my appetite for a few days, I was taking zinc. I was forcing myself to eat. So I still, even when I didn't want to eat, I wasn't nauseous. I ate bananas 2 or 3 times a day. I'd eat another piece of fruit at least once a day, a cut up orange, something, an apple, anything that we had in the house. Try to have at least a piece of toast in the morning, and I would eat potatoes.
Wow.
I boiled up some potatoes and whatever I wanted to put on it, because of the nutrition that comes out of the potatoes and the starch. And I was even eating salted peanuts because I wasn't eating a lot. I had more than enough room for sodium, and I needed the protein and the vitamins and minerals that come from the peanuts. And I needed the salt because I wasn't eating it. So even salted potato chips, I had free reign because I wasn't eating as much. But because I also wasn't eating a steak dinner like I normally do, I was taking zinc pills. Because the majority of the zinc that you get from animal proteins. So because I know those things, I know where my levels are. So I knew where I needed to substitute. And most people say, I don't know what I need, so I'm just going to take a multivitamin. And then you're really it's just grounds for expensive pee, because you're just going to piss it all out.
That's right.
You don't need 800 milligrams of vitamin C. I hate to break it to you, but you really can just eat an orange. And it's more than your daily allowance of vitamin C.
An orange pepper.
Ooh.
Right? Those, the yellow.
Those are really high end.
Yeah.
They're so,
the yellow and
sweet
oranges,
peppers are loaded.
With about
loaded.
More than an orange.
Yeah. Yep. Very much
And they're
more.
delicious too.
But that's the thing, is it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Reducing my stress. Surrounding myself with people who genuinely support and care about me. I eliminated all of the stress of, people who are tired of hearing about my food and my diet or low sodium. People who, they stop inviting you out because you can't drink.
Yeah.
That aren't truly there for you. And I slowly started to discover that it doesn't matter, friends, family, or otherwise. It's your choice to surround yourself with who you surround yourself with. Yeah. So you don't have to stay with or around someone
But-
simply because it's
But the hard thing, right? Because our body reacts to that stress.
right.
So let's just take a look at my last 4 weeks, right?
Much like mine.
Right. So my dear friend, business partner, the co-host of this show passes.
Yep.
Didn't ask us.
I know.
Didn't check in with us. Just was like,
Very selfish of him.
very. I move out of a house we've been in for 18 years and into a new house.
Upheave your whole life.
Right. And at work, building a new department for where I work at. So a ton of stress.
Right.
I find and Alice, my wife, she even goes, you're stress eating right now.
Right. You do.
I'm like, oh, I know. Right. But so you're, because your body is all those chemicals in your mush inside, as you said, that potato, that gushy potato,
mashed potato and an overcooked skin
is, how do you, especially someone like you, how do you go, stop,
it's hard. It really, and I hate the cliche of it. I really do, but it is true. It's not easy. Everyone, you make it look so easy. It's not. I like food. Yeah. I really do like food. I love to eat. I don't necessarily stress eat, but the kitchen is my happy place.
Yeah.
So if I'm bored, I will go make a huge pot of avogomano or lasagna or stuffed shells. And while I'm doing that, I'm eating potato chips and I'm snacking at the potato chips get dipped in the bolognese sauce.
Oh, delicious. Yeah.
So it's not easy. And just like that same stress, there's plenty of times where it is, especially my hardest part is being lethargic. Between my liver and my spine and then COVID on top of it. Ugh. I'm tired all the time. And I'm not talking I didn't sleep enough or I got up too early tired. I am exhausted. It's just your body reacting, all the time, 24/7, no matter how good I am on my diet. So there are plenty of times that even if you're not me, you come home at 8:00 at night and you're like, you know what? Tonight it's Wendy's or Culver's or Taco Bell or Subway or whatever it is. And I still do that too. I just pick the healthier versions. But even in doing that, like you said, there's a breaking point. Yeah. And there's a point where you go down so far, like you said, eating at Chili's 5 days a week, where you almost have to start over and detox to resensitize your palate. And many times that's what I'll do. I'll do a fast to kick myself back into gear. I will fast for a day. And then when I start eating again, it's purely a strict few items. It's either fruit, a fresh vegetable, or potatoes and a protein of some kind. Grilled chicken, a grilled steak, a grilled fish. No seasoning, no nothing. Simply to pull back and detox a little bit. Yeah. Intermittent fasting is one of the healthiest ways to detox. And if you're going to do intermittent fasting, even just doing it at night and like skipping dinner, because if you skip dinner by the time you eat again in the morning, that's a fast. I mean, if you think about it, that's a 10, 12-hour fast. But so many people skip breakfast, which is the worst thing you can do. Your circadian rhythms and how your body works means it processes food differently at different times of the day. And yes, I know if you are a third shift worker person that you're up at night and your body has a rhythm. Yeah. It processes fats and foods differently in the morning than it does at night. In the morning, it burns your fat stores and takes your food and eats it. But at night, because it knows you're getting ready to go to sleep, it stores anything that you take in, not knowing when your next meal is going to be. So that's the best option for you is to, if you're going to fast at night. So it resets your clock. So when I do overdo it like that, it's not a full blown restart. Like when I first got sick with liver disease, it's just that intermittent where I'll eat a piece of toast or something or a fruit for breakfast. The rest of the day is water. And then I have a good breakfast the next morning and just restart my shift. If I really overdid it or if I got sick, or something of that nature, because sometimes you just get a flare up for whatever reason. It just happens. I don't know, you walk through a field and there's fertilizing it or something. Then I'll do a a healthy, clean diet for, 3 to 7 days, depending on how much I'm upset, which is pretty much what I did when I had COVID. So, but that takes dedication.
Yeah, huge.
So when you have potato chips and ice cream in your cabinet still, snacks for your kids, all of those things, or like you don't have anything at all and you're eating at Chili's.
Literally.
Which everything comes out of a frozen box, and most
Yeah.
of it, their steaks are microwaved.
Oh, well, I could tell, yeah.
Yeah, they're microwaved and then they're seared on the grill. Yeah. For those of you that want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, you can kind of, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is medium rare, but yeah, you don't get the same serum.
But
another trick that you taught me in my family for flavor is cook with cast iron.
Oh God, yes.
And so you can replace a lot of, the salt and things from just the seasoning of that cast iron.
Yep. And that's so some of the tips that I had, and we'll skip and talk about 2022 after the end of the show. Some of the tips, and this is why I, let's make sure we give some low sodium tips to end out the year.
That's right.
What do they call that? Passive aggressive.
That's right.
I mean no harm. I'm just funny. Or I think I'm funny anyway.
That's right.
But that Maillard reaction is one of those tips from the cast iron.
Yep.
Jim, who wrote the book Sharing Cast Iron, has a group on Facebook as well about everything. The man knows everything and anything about cast iron, refurbishing it, seasoning it, saving it, finding it, collecting it, storing it, shipping it. He literally knows everything about cast iron. But that Maillard reaction, the chemical reaction between amino acids that gives food its flavor, happens not just in steak. So vegetables, anything that gets that brownie, even if it's just roasting in a pan, not even cast iron, that chemical reaction between those amino acids and the sugars, it makes a steak that's grilled properly or a piece of chicken that's grilled properly actually have a salted flavor to it. So when you're making dishes, it might be an extra step to roast the vegetables before you put it in a casserole or before you put it in a soup. But throwing all those vegetables on a pan, especially with something like clarified butter, where there's no sodium, and you can get, some of them you got to pay attention because some add salt to their butter.
Right.
But that clarified butter adds a caramelized, smoky flavor to it. And suddenly you have a flavor. So when you just dump everything into a crock pot, and even when you have a salted palate, you're like, wow, this is really bland. The amount of times my sister has asked me to save her chili because she literally just dumped everything in the pot. I said, well, you didn't season the beef and sear it before you cooked it and put it in there.
Right.
So of course it's going to taste like, I hate to tell you, but that's why it tastes like, I can't save it. I can't. Right. It's already cooked.
Yeah.
It's already done.
Ugh, no.
It's already down that drain. So tell people to add cheese and hot sauce. Yeah. Because some things can't be saved.
Go away from beef. Throw chicken in there. Shredded chicken. Oh, man. Oh, it's
delicious. See, I'm all about game in my chili.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
So I want bison or venison. I want a punch of flavor. So I'm all about. And surprisingly, and I forgot to bring the thing, but chicken isn't necessarily healthier than beef or other ones, which is a common misconception. And if you search for it, it's everywhere that says chicken is healthier than beef. But when you look at the nutritional specs of a steak versus a chicken breast,
not so much.
Hate to tell you, but the steak is actually better for you. So bread is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Bread can absolutely taste like something other than cardboard if you make it yourself without salt. And there is plenty of places. There's actually someone that will post every once in a while in the Shaking the Salt group. It's a bakery that will ship you unsalted breads. Huh. And they're really good. Salt retards yeast. So it makes it easier to proof the bread properly and have it rise properly so that the yeast doesn't rise too fast or too slow and either overproof or underproof your bread. So that's the scientific chemical side of it.
Right.
Outside of that, the only purpose that salt serves is flavor. Pretty much the same in canning, outside of things that are cured or fermented kimchi, things like that. The only major reason why a lot of times that you use salt is for flavor. And I know I'll get a million emails that say that it is used to preserve food. If it's the actual preservation method, like in salt cod or dill pickles, where it's cucumbers and salt and cucumbers and salt, if it's the actual fermentation or preservation method, then yes, it is absolutely necessary to balance the good and the bad bacteria. If you make a spaghetti sauce and can it, the only reason you need the salt is for flavor. The actual process and mechanism in the heat and method of canning itself is what makes it shelf stable, assuming you know how to do all those things. But I learned that with bread, the rolls and like the roly-poly bread that I made with the stuffs, the peppers and stuff inside, that is a milk bread. So many rolls are a milk bread, and milk has a little bit of sodium in it because it comes from a cow. So no matter how you slice it, it's going to have 120 milligrams per cup. It's just, it is what it is. So if you eat something and it has dairy in it and it says 0 sodium, that means 0 sodium in that serving, because per labeling guidelines, I think if it's less than 5 milligrams per serving, they can say that it has no sodium. So when you look at creamers and it says 0 sodium, that's because a serving of coffee creamer is a tablespoon or 2. Can't remember. One of the 2. But so if you're like me and you pour a quarter cup of flavored creamer in your coffee because you like it to taste like a latte or something, then it has sodium in it because it's got real dairy in it. And real dairy, regardless of the animal that it comes from, goats, camels, or cows, or bison, it's going to have about 120 milligrams of sodium in it. But because they can get around it through the labeling with the serving size, that's why if you've noticed, some products will actually say serving or the nutrition per serving and the nutrition per entire container, because they got yelled at because so many people were eating the whole can of soup instead of a half or a third.
Right.
Those are the ones I really like. 2.5 serving. Who eat really? It's a can of green beans. I'm going to open it. I'm going to eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I know not everybody likes green beans, but
it's
I like
chunky soup. It's a getting eaten.
Right. Right.
I mean, you open the can.
Right. Well,
you're not going to only heat up half of it.
The abgomano that I brought you was 2 servings.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
Right. Right?
I beg to differ.
Exactly. But even still, because that one is made with eggs to thicken, not a flour roux. So that one, I think it was like 280. I'll have to look up the nutrition specs on it, but I think it was 280 milligrams for that entire bowl, which for a soup, most soups that are considered heart healthy are 410 milligrams of sodium. Yeah. And that's for half the can. Yeah. Eat the whole can.
And you know, your show here, again, you're listening to 216 The Net. This is Living Low Sodium with Mary Schepp. Check out her website, www.MyLoSo Lifestyle. There it is, right there on screen. Great stuff there. And, you know, it's brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Reeses Barkery Pawtique right here. Check them out at www.reesesbarkery.com. Great people that do healthy stuff for your pets, right? Real good, real food, healthy stuff for your pets. Now, the interesting thing is, you know, that mindset that you've helped a lot of people change with your show is, as I'm sitting there stress eating some Lay's potato chips,
right,
where I could eat the family size bag before.
Same.
Not a problem. I now I'm in, and I probably had 2 servings, right, compared to what they say, but about halfway through it, I'm like, oh,
right,
you know, and my mind starts going, oh, eek, you know.
And that's what I love, because it's not, because it made you aware. So if you really wanted to, you know, you can afford to, and I've done it where I'm like, screw it, I don't care. I'm going to eat 6 servings of this bag of potato chips, but I also know how much it is, fats and all of that, sodium and otherwise, if I eat the entire bag. Yeah. I'm well aware of what's in there. And I'm well aware that when I eat the potato chips, I'm going to eat 2 or 3 servings. I'm not eating 13 potato chips. It ain't happening.
It ain't going to
But instead of eating the whole bag until you felt full or, satiated, you made a conscious decision to say that my health is more important, or I am more important.
Right.
I'm only going to eat 2 or 3 servings. I don't need to eat the whole bag. And that's what I love, because it's not about, you can only have 13 potato chips, so count out 13 potato chips. And I know that just like
I do, but I get a lot of half of ones in there.
I know.
I only count the full ones.
Right? the half ones and the folded ones don't count.
That's right. The folded ones
don't. So yeah, the defects don't count. So the decision to put yourself and be aware of your health is what I want people to do. It's not about you can't have this, you can't have that. And there are people who are going to be like that, where the only way they're going to be successful because of the way that their mind and their personality works is to count out those 13 potato chips and to put 2 tablespoons of salsa with it. Like,
right.
They need that structure. Much like not everybody is going to be like me and be all or nothing. You know what I mean? They're not going to throw away everything that's salt in their kitchen and start. So everybody's different.
I agree with Sean.
Oh boy, what does he say?
Sean says the trick is to break them all, so none of them.
Right? See, this is why Sean and I get along.
But it's like a hunt. You can the triangle Doritos.
Right.
That's what I search for first.
Right.
Give me the whole triangle.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the rest, it's like a handful. So I mean, that's just like
right.
You're just finishing off the bag. That doesn't count.
Right.
But that's the mindset. That's the whole point. Is we don't ever value our own health or ourselves. We say we do. Mm-hmm. We wholeheartedly say we do. But how often do you actually take the time, like I was talking, with all of these changes going on? And very many times it's, I will go to bed early to lay there to have a nice, calm time of self-reflection and make those decisions and think about the decisions that I've made and the consequences of them and how things go and, how I'm going to move forward and learn and grow from it. So it really is more than just eating low sodium. But the funny thing is whether it's low sodium, low sugar, low fat, low carb, whatever it is that you're changing about your diet, if you are dedicated and committed to actually putting yourself before other things and valuing yourself and your health, both mentally, physically, spiritually, and otherwise, the things that you learn on that journey is so much more than what you started with of saying, how can I eat low sodium, or how can I watch my sugar or my fats or whatever? Because you suddenly start learning that all of those things are combined. So like making bread, when I went on my journey to make my own bread, I've made bread before. It was nothing new to me. I cook. I've always cooked. I love cooking. But in my pursuit to discover how I can make bread taste like something other than cardboard, because the stuff I buy at the store is what I use for stuffing, because it tastes like cardboard. There's no flavor to it whatsoever. So I use it in stuffing because I can season it up and make stuffing for stuffing. I mean, I will literally eat a bowl of stuffing like you would eat a bag of potato chips, given half the chance. And when I make it myself, I can. And that's how I met Kim Nordine. Well, actually, that's not how I met her. I met her another way, but because of how I knew her, somebody else had said, you need to meet this lady, Kim Nordine, because she makes bread and you're learning bread. And I go, wait a minute, I already know her. Small world.
And we've had her on the show.
We had her on the show. She was on the show my first year.
Yeah.
Very beginning. So you can literally eliminate salt from bread. Couple tips about bread. Milk breads. So if you can find a recipe for milk breads, I'm pretty sure I have one on my website. Or if you do a sponge bread, which I know I have on my website, there's a honey wheat sponge bread on my recipes. And the sponge bread is because if you use a bread flour, which has higher protein, which means you'll be more successful in making your bread, the sponge is when you let the yeast and a little bit of the flour and the liquid, it proofs for it sponges or it ferments for a very long time. And it gives that yeasty flavor is what gives your bread flavor. So those are a couple tricks with your bread.
All right, and we've got a nice picture of a banana gingerbread from MyLoSoLifestyle.com up
one
there.
of my favorites.
So you can
see those are cakes.
Well,
I hate that they call them a bread,
really
but still, whatever.
They're
It's really
so
good. That also substitutes easy with apples and cranberries and any other thing that you want to put in it outside of that one. Oh yeah, I did put my lasagna up there, didn't I? I always forget what the heck I put on there.
Cranberry oatmeal cookies. I think we still have some in the refrigerator.
Probably. Dawn is the one who loves those. She was mad at me for those, so I had to bring her some of those. So that being said, speaking of cranberry oatmeal cookies, try new flavors. You want to bring salt to your dish, try new flavors. Roasting stuff instead of just chopping it up and throwing it in there. Yeah. Different fry methods, grilling methods.
Oh, that can bring out some
and fresh flavor. Versus other, like garlic tastes different fresh than it does roasted.
Now, are you a big smoker? Do you guys do
We
any?
don't. See, Ben loves smoked stuff. Mm-hmm. I have had so many things in my younger years that were over smoked that I'm very picky about it. So we haven't, as a cooking household, we haven't dove into that as of yet. Yeah. But anytime I can get my hands on smoked stuff, I'll buy it and bring it home to Ben because he'll eat all of it. He loves it. Yeah. I'm picky about it. But that is another way to bring flavor.
Big flavor.
Which brings me to one that's a little bit further down, but sun-dried tomatoes. Yeah. Depending on what you're cooking, will bring a smoked, almost bacon flavor. Like when I put them in my little egg bites, Pete would have bet you money that there was bacon in there. And he was shocked. He's like, "Did you put bacon in it because of me?" Like, no. I mean, I love you, but no. Yeah. Like, I want to eat them too.
We're not going to tell you it was a vegetable.
Right. Okay. It wasn't yellow there.
That's right.
But I do. There's sun-dried tomato options in oil that keep for a very long time in your refrigerator. And they're pretty low sodium. So the potato soup that I just made this past week, same thing. I added sun-dried tomatoes with a little bit of the oil from the jar in there, and it brings a flavor that you just wouldn't think of. So when you start experimenting with different flavors and things like garlic, so if you want a really strong, spicy garlic flavor, it's the type of garlic you pick because there's different types of garlic. Much like onions and potatoes, there's different flavors. So if you always cook with russet potatoes, find another tomato or potato and cook with it and try it. Right. But garlic, the way the oils release, much like an onion, if you cut it and put it on a salad and eat it, you're going to get the most pungent flavor. So if you cut it or grate it, so it's much like when you buy it in a jar already chopped, it's not really strong. But if you chop it in that same little chunks fresh, it's super strong. It's because how those oils are released and how they dissipate. My husband and I love fresh garlic, so I do it all the time. Like, we'll make mashed potatoes. I literally grate 2 garlic cloves straight in the pot. Delicious. After it's already mashed and done and ready to serve. Mix it up and then serve it, and we get the strongest garlic flavor right off the bat. And that's just, we're garlic. I go through so much garlic. I think there's 2 pounds of garlic in my.
I must have been 8 years old in that area. He's still a kid when we had dinner over at the Holman's. I remember this. And she made her mashed potatoes that way, and I was like, "These are the best mashed potatoes I've ever had," and I couldn't stop talking about them. And my mom's like, "Well, she puts garlic in it," right? And I'm like, I don't know what garlic is. I'm like, right, that's the best. Right. And still today, I'll put garlic in almost everything. Yeah.
Well, the potato soup I made, I'm trying to figure out how to bring flavor to potato soup. You can, if you over salt a soup or a spaghetti sauce, and my husband's going to kill me. They were just talking. It's in a movie. And it's in Archer, which is a cartoon.
Archer. Awesome. Yeah.
Put a potato in it. But if you over season a soup or a stock or pasta sauce, you can literally put a potato in it and simmer it for a little longer, and it sucks up all of that salt. So to make a potato soup without salt, have flavor with potatoes that suck up all of the other flavor is inherently difficult.
And not just dropping a can of hot sauce in it.
Right. So here's flavor. I use sun-dried tomatoes. 8 roasted garlic heads. So you roast the whole head,
Roast the
squeeze
head.
all the garlic out, mash it up, and put it into the potato soup. I use a vegetable broth. I do make my own. So for all of you that say you make your own stuff and everything like that, I personally like Pacific Foods organic broths. The chicken, the bone broth, the vegetable broth, they have low sodium options. For the amount of work and effort that it takes, and the fact that theirs are good quality, made with good products, and they are low sodium and they have an entire low sodium line, I am perfectly content buying their products. So for my potato soup, that's what it was. Is Pacific vegetable low sodium broth, and the potatoes, sun-dried tomatoes, a boatload of, it was 8 heads of garlic roasted, 3 large cloves of fresh garlic at the end, pepper, and then right as the potatoes, because once the stock and everything is in there, when the potatoes are just done, I do the juice from an entire lemon, the acid from the juice, or you can do just a smidge of vinegar. If you ever have potato soup and you're wondering how those little chunks of potatoes stay crispy on the outside and not turn to mush, because if you cook potatoes long enough, it literally they'll disintegrate. That's how. That acid is literally what will firm up the outside and leave the insides all nice and squishy. So it's a very basic recipe, and this is the thing. Everybody that I shared it with, the common thing was, I hope you don't get mad, I added salt. So I don't get mad. I don't care. Right. I get it. You don't have my palate. You haven't been unsalted since 2015.
You're not going to bloat, perhaps.
I don't care. And I get it. Like, I still have pink salt in my cupboard because there's certain things that you just, like a fresh cut tomato out of your garden, the ever so slightest bit of pink salt on that, because the grinder that I have, if I literally just shake it and not actually twist a grind out of it, that light dust of salt that it produces, and that's the only reason I use the pink salt. It's not because it's healthier. It's not because it's lower in sodium. Pound for pound, weight by weight, if you weigh out table salt, pink salt, Celtic salt, gray salt, any kind of ever flavored smoked salt that you could buy in any gourmet salt shop, by weight, they are all pretty much the same. So it's not that it's healthy or not healthy or whatever. It's salt is salt is salt is salt. Watch like episode 2. I think we talked about it. But that light dusting, because I can afford it now, is what you miss on your eggs, your tomatoes, certain things that you just want that little tiny hit. So I get it. When the flavor base still has to be there. So if you like my soup and said, don't feel bad because I added a little sprinkle of salt on top, I'm not going to be, the soup itself still tastes good. You can add all the salt you want. It's not going to change the flavor after the fact. It's just going to make it salty.
Sure.
So, dressings, make your own.
That's really kind of fun.
It's not that hard.
Right.
It really isn't. Most dressings are mayo base or oil base. You put a bunch of stuff in a bowl and mix it up and pour it over something. If you want to save yourself the sodium, substitute an avocado for mayonnaise. It's a very mild flavor. It's very creamy. It's got a lot of really good fats in it. Good fats versus bad fats. And the sodium that it has is dietary sodium that comes in the avocado itself, which is easier for your body to digest, break down, and utilize, versus salt that's added to mayonnaise and other processed foods. Your body actually has to separate the sodium chloride to actually process the sodium. So if you're going to get sodium, at least get something that's already in it. But it really is. The dressings are just super easy to make. And if you're going to go out to eat and get someone else's salad and you are super restricted, bring your own dressing. Who cares? Gwen. I've done that.
Gwen finally made it
in. Finally made it. And then onions and garlic and wine or stock. I know a lot of people can't drink.
See, now here's the thing, and I know your palate is a lot stronger than most people's, but there's different flavors to those onions, different colors.
Oh, God, yeah.
And I don't necessarily always taste the difference. Isn't that weird?
So that
And
It is a combination of your palate and your genetics, much like some people like cilantro and some people don't. It also depends on how old you are and how strong your sense of smell is. But most people aren't going to sit and eat raw onions to taste them.
Right.
But like a Vidalia onion, which is just a species of sweet onion, is literally, if you get the good Vidalias, which are in season and fresh, it's almost like an apple. There's no bite to it at all. The first time I literally saw my mom take a bite out of an onion, and it scarred me for my childhood. Like, what the? No wonder why you can't cook. Like, this is just gross. Years later, it wasn't until I was making something and I had Vidalia onions and she's eating chunks of it. And I was like, what are you doing? She's like, these are my favorite. These are the ones I used to eat all the time because I got them from so-and-so across the street. And I was like, oh, now it makes sense. You're only half as crazy as I thought you were. But yeah, shallots, purple onions are really good on salads because they have a bite, but it's not a lingering bite. So it doesn't overpower you like a Spanish onion would in your salad where it stays on your palate for an hour and ruins the rest of your salad. So they do. And here's the funny thing is, as you eat less and less and less sodium or salt, like added salt, your palate isn't burnt by that salt and you can taste those flavors. It takes time. And if you're the cheater who says, well, I don't really add salt, but then at night I totally add salt to this, or I eat a whole bag of potato chips that are salted or peanuts that are salted. If you eliminate the actual salt shaker from your household, and your palate changes, which takes 6 to 8 weeks and sometimes longer, depending on you as a human being. The first time I tasted the difference in a potato as somebody who's a self-proclaimed potato slut was like an aha moment. I'm like, holy cow, these little things, they taste different. They're buttery, they're not starchy. It's like, it's great.
Gwen says Walla Walla sweets are the same way.
They are.
I've never heard of that.
It's another Vidalia. Oh. It's
sounded like
really,
a Sesame
really
Street
good,
thing.
Our stores will have them every once in a while when they can't get Vidalia onions. Or not. Yeah.
Vidalia.
Yeah, there's the Vidalias, there's Texas sweets, the Walla Wallas. There's a yellow sweet onion that you can usually get year round, but that still has a bit of a bite to it.
Right. And of course, we're hitting the last 9 minutes of season 2 here. We're taking a couple week breaks, and we'll be back on January 8th. What's happening? Where the hook, as we say in the showbiz, throw them the hook. What can we expect for season 3?
So we've got a lot of stuff. Even though we're not going to be here for the next 2 weeks, Kent and I are going to be doing quite a bit of planning over the next 2 weeks because we have some cooking demonstrations coming up.
It's going to be cool.
No idea how that's going to work yet. We're going to figure it out. But
it's going to be great for radio.
Right? All you radio people.
Actually, it is. You know what? That's why we've kind of got the new look studio, so we can have we can move some microphones and things and make it workable.
I've done some practice runs, and I have some idea. It's a plan. It's a work in progress because it's going to take a little bit of doing. Whether we do it in the studio or remotely, we're going to have to figure it out just because of depending on what I cook and what smoke and whatever we don't want to burn the studio down because there's next to our studio, there's other people who would not be happy if we burnt their office down. We are going to do a visit to the farm. So we are going to have some remote shows. We are going to go out, working with a couple farmers to figure out and have some discussions. Oh, Cipollini. So we're also going to have some chefs.
Yes.
On the show to discuss and hopefully educate them a little bit better on what truly is low sodium, and then have a round table about what it is to be a chef in a restaurant in a world full of dietary restrictions.
I've got some friends who own a food truck, and it's all Southern cooking. So I mean, like collard greens.
See, that's good stuff.
So we'll get them on. Maybe we'll even do it from their
I was kind of thinking we're going to do a because I know a lot of chefs and a lot of restaurant owners. I think we're going to do a restaurant chef show and a food truck chef show because they're both chefs. They're both cooks and they both serve food, but they are two totally different realms of serving. Because on a food truck, you don't have a separate kitchen to make gluten-free. You either are or you aren't.
Right.
So that'll be fun. We're going to have a couple shows around that. We have some special guests, some trainers, some fitness instructors, a couple different conversations around the power of the spoken word and your affirmations and how you actually change your lifestyle and change your perspective and how you view what you do to yourself. Much like you talk about being on the Noom app where it's more of a mental, why do you eat what you eat, when you eat, and how you eat it, and how to help yourself be better at it. A lot more giveaways coming down. I've spoke to some of my favorite people with all of the things that I love between, Kitchen Outfitters and everybody knows I love Dax spices. I actually I got to order more tonight because I go through it by the pound. So I'm excited for the cooking demonstrations and because I got a friend of mine who has a remote kitchen that they use for their food truck. They don't really rent it out. Right. But I might have the luxury of using it at least for our show so that we'll have a space where we can kind of have some fun in the summer. So it's going to be an indoor-outdoor thing. So
cool.
There's a lot of planning going on.
A lot of good stuff.
I am not a classically trained chef. So I can cook.
Yeah.
I'm a messy cook. I'm a slow cook. So I got to figure out. I would love to be on Chopped or like Beat Bobby Flay, cool. But they'd be like, all right, maybe so you realize Bobby this is a half-hour program.
I'll reach out. We'll see if we can get Bobby or Gordon on.
I know, right? They've been busy, so it's hard to get them to return our calls. But
we'll try. I think what would be fun too is we can have I think maybe next season we open up the lines. We share.
We'll have a couple of the podcast or the not podcast
listeners join in or say questions.
StreamYard, where you can they can join in like we do on the other shows.
Sean says, thank you, Mary Schepp. You are one of the best and devoted people I've met on this journey. We lost a lot, but saved so many more. The issue is sometimes it's never enough just changing a diet. It's a whole life change. God bless all. I got to head out. See you all next year. Thanks, Sean. You too.
See you next
year.
Maybe
we'll get Sean on. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll have. Well, that's an easy one. I can get him on any show if I wanted to. He's good people. We have been through a lot. The sad side of being on a low sodium diet is the majority of people who are on a low sodium diet. It's a serious health issue.
The dominoes have started.
They're already waiting for a new liver. They're on their second heart. We've lost a lot of good people, and I'm sitting here thinking of I'm already rattling names around in my head, and instead of rattling names off because I know I will forget too many. On my website, I don't think anybody's quite posted yet because I don't know that I'm not Bobby Flay. I don't have a million people come to my website, but there is a page that is a tribute page. It's a poem I wrote after we lost Mitch, my friend Sue. We lost in memory. If you click on in memory. So on that, you can make comments on my page. And yes, I know there's a pop-up for cookies. Just accept the cookies. It's not a subscription. But
they're delicious, by the way.
That in memory is meant to speak their names. You don't have to type anything great, but if you just type their name so that they're not forgotten, so that anytime somebody else goes to that page, which isn't very often, I told you I'm not super famous, but when you comment and you post someone's name like Pete or Mitch or Chris or all of the many, many, many people that I've never even have the blessed nature to meet, sadly, they don't always make it. It's not always an easy journey. Mm-hmm. But we do. That's why we do the show. That's why we do. Help people be more aware and present in their own health. Yeah. That's my goal, anyways. That's it. So I think 2022 will be just as trying and full of tribulations. But I think that it's going to be a fun year. I think the changes that are coming in 2022 are going to be fabulous between my career change, where we're taking the show, where we're taking the station.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a fun year. It's going to be an exciting year.
Big change, change.
Yep.
Gary, good seeing you again, my friend. Enjoy Sunday over there. Get some
Have
sleep.
Have a wonderful holiday, all of
That's
you.
it.
Whichever one you celebrate.
That's right. A blessed new year. And know that, you know what? Today's a gift. That's why they call it the present.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow's never guaranteed. So love everybody that you can. And stay a salty bitch. I guess.
Yeah. That's my favorite. That's my coffee cup. I will most definitely say salty bitch. So subscribe to our YouTube page, 216thenet.com, MyLoSoLifestyle.com. The more YouTube subscribers we have, the more luxuries we have.
That's right.
And we will see you guys in 2 weeks, give or take, on January 8th. Have a great holiday and a wonderful new year. Be safe. See you soon.